Because we had the mics on, we just didn't have the audition there. It may have been just, honestly, we could have went over there.
Yeah, it was. I heard him.
That just might be through the headphones. Maybe that's why we haven't been able to hear through the headphones recently.
Well, mine, I just with that outlet, you have to pull it out a little bit. You have to push it all the way up in there and then just pull it out a little bit.
Yeah. Well, then maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just the headphones. Maybe we did go over there.
LJ, can I see him on that? See her? Oh, he behind that computer. I gotta work on some shots in here. I almost need somebody to do that thing so I can move it. I'm ready. And we're back. This is your friendly neighborhood Dr. Sam, and you're on listening to the Dr. Sam Show. I'm sitting in the house today with my man LJ Hamilton, Miss Cher, and our powerful engineer, political mover and shaker, Craig the Man. We just came out of a little segment talking about the situation with Mr. Cosby and how they wanted Miss Camille, his wife, to testify against him because she is legally his business manager in a civil law case, civil suit. But I believe they just using it to affect everything that he's doing, because if she say one wrong word that he was a scoundrel, it's over. And that's basically what they're trying to do. They trying to make a mockery of that man. And whether he did it or not, I don't know. I was not there. I can't say one word or another. But I know the people that's accusing him acting awfully funny. So that's what it is. And so, but we go out to get to the core of our topic today, which we're talking about, can we trust God? And that's a question I believe no matter what religion you are, you have asked yourself, and some people will say, is there a God? Some people say, I love God, but how do I trust something I cannot see? How do I believe in the spirit that is here that probably sometimes I could feel things, but I can't explain it? But we're going to dig in that a little bit. How can we trust God? And I want to start off from this premise. And I've talked about this with Miss Sherry behind the scenes a little bit. What we want to start with is what does trust mean first? Miss Sherry, you read that. We need to define what's our premise going to be. What is trust?
Trust is basically being able to believe in something or someone, basically. Being able to have faith in it, being able to know that that person or that thing is what it is, and just believing in them, basically. That's what trust is.
Okay, now a lot of us have trust with relationships, trust in your children, trust in your job. We even do trust in getting on an airplane, don't know from one flight to another whether it's going to crash. So some level of trust and faith in that, but we're going to stick to the trust first. How, let's start off with it. How do we begin to trust something that we cannot see? By our physical five senses. We can't see, we can't smell, we can't hear. How do we begin to trust? Because what I want to start the premise, sometimes in your life it's easy to trust God, sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's impossible. Let's start off with that. LJ, can I start with you first on that?
Yes, sir.
Where do you start on the trusting God? How do we trust in something we cannot physically see?
Well, I think you have to, it's all faith-based. You have to have the faith to know that if you trust God, God is going to honor his word and meet the need that you have, or he's just going to honor his word to cover you, cover your family, keep you all safe. Trusting God, it just takes faith. It takes you knowing that, even if you're in a bad situation right now or going through a tough time, that, God will, intervene on your behalf,
right?
And he'll help you with that, and or he'll take care of that for you. We have to trust God. Just, we trust the most minimal of things, in life. We trust that the television is going to turn on when we push the power button. We trust that our car is going to start, when we turn the ignition. We trust a lot of minimal things in life that, overall don't really matter. You know, so, but then we find it hard to trust God because we can't see him, we can't touch him, we can't, you know, see him like I could see you, or see, you know, I could see my car, or I could see a television set, so I can trust that that'll do something because it's tangible. But, you know, a lot of people have a hard time trusting God because it's just, they can't see him. You know, and with that being said, they have a hard time trusting based on sight alone. You know, but like I said, it's faith-based. You walk by faith, not by what you see, because everything that you see, as we all know, especially as adults, everything that you see, tangible or not, is not truth, it's not real,
Right.
It's just there, you know.
Ms. Sher, we talked about earlier the base around trust, and what I made an example of for people that had children, but I made this example. If you have your child, and we're dealing with a God, we're talking about a God that's all knowing, all powerful, and everywhere, all time. So that means just on the one that he knows everything. If God could trust us, or we could trust God, if God knows 2 years from now you're going to be a heroin addict, how do you think that would make him feel as far as the trust? And at the same time, I equated that if you had a child and you knew your child 2 years from now was going to be in jail or be a heroin addict for the rest of their life, how would that make your trust feel about them?
As God our Father, knowing all things and being able to see into our future, I'm sure he feels disappointed because we're not on the road that he would like for us to be on. But fortunately, he gives us, and maybe sometimes unfortunately, he gives us free will to be able to do what we want to do. And he trusts in us to be able to make the right decisions. And sometimes as his children, we don't do that until we hit rock bottom. As far as our children, if I knew that my child in 2 years would head down the road of destruction, I would be so hurt. I would be frustrated, and I would be trying to do whatever I could do to try to get them to be, to get them on the right path. So, and that's also hard because they fight against it, and we as children fight against our Heavenly Father as well. We fight against His will because we don't put our will with His, and that's true with our children. They don't think we know anything. It ain't gonna happen to me. You don't know what you're talking about. So then they go down that road of destruction, and all we can do sometimes is watch.
Well, and I'm gonna come back to that point because I want to make sure I be clarified. My thing on trust, when we trusting in God, it's the same reason why sometimes you don't trust your kids or your family, is because we are afraid of the unknown. And when you trust somebody, you're handing your vulnerabilities to them and say, I trust you to handle me in the most loving, the strongest, the most purest way, but I'm totally vulnerable to you. And so my point is trust, a big fear of trusting God, a spirit you cannot see and sometimes can't feel or hear, especially at the times you need it the most. How do we get to that trust? Now, I made the example is, if you knew your kid was going to be a heroin addict in 2 years, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it because you know that, just like God knows what we're going to do in 2 years, and He knows regardless, He knows that's going to happen. What would it make you do as far as trust, because you know the future versus not knowing? Okay, I can answer that question. So you go ahead and answer. I could answer my own way. The thing is this: the way that you trust God is you have to let go of what you cannot control. That's the core of it. You have to let go of what you cannot control. One of the things I've had conversations with my dad, for example. My dad always would say, I can handle myself. And as I became a young man, I can handle myself with people, situations, and different stuff. I can handle myself. The reason my dad said that is because he raised me, him and my mother, and he know what he put in me, and he trusts that I grasp those things. Now, he didn't say I wasn't going to make bad decisions. He didn't say I wasn't going to make mistakes. But he did say he trusts the fact that I know how to get it right. I know how to live. So when you have a situation that you know the outcome, there's really no trust involved. God don't have to trust me because he already know what's going to happen.
Right.
So I have to trust him because he know what's going to happen. My job is to put myself in position to always win, always fulfill his will, so he fulfill my will or things I like. You know, this Bible stuff of Psalms 37:4. He said he'll give you the desires of your heart, the desires that line up with his will. He's not talking about if you say, Lord, can I have a threesome? I'm going to hook you up. We ain't talking about that. We talking about the stuff that is divinely in his will. So what I want to throw back at you, both of you, now that I said that, how do we trust God? I say I don't know God. I haven't experienced God. I have not been to church. Put me in a position where I have the ability at least be introduced or think about the idea of trusting a spiritual being that's all powerful, all knowing, and is everywhere all the time. Is that a good question? LJ, go ahead.
I mean, the question is, what other option do you have? You know, so it's kind of you done exhausted every other thing in your life that you've tried outside of God, outside of a relationship with God. You have exhausted that. Now, some people live great lives, you know,
right,
not believing in God and whatever the case may be, or they think they're living a great life. So, you know, the question is, you know, what other option do you have? Because, you know, the rain falls on the just and the unjust, and, you know, you will experience a storm. You know, whether you want to or not, you will experience some type of storm, and the way that you have been handling it, you know, may have worked in the past, but it may not work this time.
Right.
You know, the way that you have been dealing with things may have worked in the past, but it may not work this time. So, you know, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain when it comes to trusting God. Because if you trust God and find out that, you know, it didn't work, you have lost nothing. You have invested nothing but time in trusting, you know, a God that'll help you with these situations or help you figure them out or whatever, however you want to term it. You've lost nothing.
Right.
You know, but you know, a lot of people trust human beings more than they trust God. You know, you'll go buy somebody's book, you'll invest in somebody's seminar,
yep,
you'll do whatever, you'll actually have something to lose by trusting someone based on a namesake, or trusting someone based on the fact that they motivated you 10 years ago, so you think they can do the same thing today. So you'll trust because you can see that person. You know, it's a tangible person, it's a tangible human being, it's an object, it's a book, it's whatever. You know, but it's, you know, trusting God, you know, it also takes you trusting yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you can't trust you to do what it takes, it don't matter who you trust. It ain't gonna get done in your life.
Right.
So, you know, to trust God, you also have to trust yourself to keep with his word, to keep with his commandments, to keep with his instructions, even though he's not there, you know, in the flesh to parent you and
right,
make sure that you do it.
And one thing I love what you said, LJ, to first start off is what other option do you have?
Right.
I mean, even if you're an atheist, in order to be an atheist, you have to have something that exists that you don't believe in. Because if it never existed, you can't be an atheist. Because you can't be against something that never existed. You get what I'm saying? You can't be against something that never existed because it would be just a rumor. You know, like I never thought in a million years we'd be paying for water. You know, crates of water. That's a whole new industry of water. I got 2 big old 5 gallons on my cooler thing for a crate. That water be cold too, by the way. Then I'll actually go fill up the 5 gallon for $1.75, but I'm actually paying for water. I never thought that bad, but it happened. I could say, well, I don't believe in paying for water. Yeah, but I'm paying for water. So I want to come back to you, Miss Chair, for a minute when I'm talking about the kid and the family thing. How would you treat your child if you knew in 2 years, no matter what you did, they were going to be strung out on heroin? How would you deal with them for them 2 years up to that day?
I think I would address them with frustration due to the fact that I'm human. and I see what's coming and I can't stop